Good afternoon. My name is Stephanie Gerberding, and I am the family leader with the University of Wisconsin Pediatric Pulmonary Center. I will be moderating today's call. I want to welcome you to our three-part presentation, Riding the Waves of COVID-19, an information series for families of children and youth with special healthcare needs or disabilities, presented by Family Voices of Wisconsin and UW Pediatric Pulmonary Center. A few instructions for this webinar. We will be recording this webinar for future viewing. Your microphones have been muted and cameras disabled. Please ensure that they are muted and disabled at this time. Please keep them muted and cameras turned off during the presentation. We will be taking questions that we will try to answer at the end of each presentation. You may enter your questions in the chat box throughout the presentation. We are not able to answer any questions about the medical conditions of your children. If you have questions specific to your children's medical conditions, please contact their healthcare provider. We may not have time to address all questions entered into the chat box during today's presentation. We will be reviewing all questions submitted through the chat box and will send out a summary of the questions and answers. We will be posting the responses on the Family Voices website and the UW Pediatric Pulmonary Center website. A survey link will be shared in the chat box periodically throughout the presentation. Please fill out the survey to provide input on future topics and to submit any additional questions. Today's topic is strategies and tools for boosting and maintaining resiliency, presented by health psychologist Stephanie Farrell. Thank you for joining us today, Stephanie.
Thank you for having me. I will be talking about strategies and tools to maintain and boost resiliency within families. I am a senior health psychologist at the American Family Children's Hospital, and I'm pleased to be with you today. Change is inevitable. We can resist it or embrace it. It makes us feel anxious, out of control, and helpless as our daily routines have been disrupted. If instead we learn to accept the inevitable plunge into unknown waters and ride these waves, we may practice flexibility, open ourselves to learning, and experience personal growth. How do we support our children during periods of uncertainty? As much as feasible, I would recommend maintaining a consistent schedule and routine for eating and sleeping to maintain some semblance of normalcy and lend structure to children's days. It is also important to provide open, honest communication and respond to children's questions in developmentally appropriate ways. Children and teenagers can become more anxious in the face of too much data on new cases, the death toll, and all the media might share. Even as adults, we need to find a balance in this regard. And as such, limiting media exposure is important not to overwhelm children. Providing choices when possible to allow children some sense of control and decrease feelings of helplessness can be helpful. Perhaps something as simple as, what would you like for dinner tonight? Allowing a couple limited options. Or what games should we play as a family when your homework is done? Additionally, it's important to encourage emotional and creative expression through art, music, and play. Children need to feel love and security, so reminding them that they are safe and cared for despite the changes in our country and world allows for feelings of stability. Striving to get children, and better yet, your entire family outdoors daily to move their bodies in some capacity and explore nature can be very helpful. Lastly, look for ways to practice gratitude and service to others in developmentally appropriate ways. Children are extremely perceptive and insightful. They recognize their parents' fears, frustration, and sadness through both our verbal and nonverbal cues, sometimes even before we're able to acknowledge it within ourselves. As such, It is crucial that we are aware of our own reactions and feelings and work to carefully manage these in healthy ways. By doing so, we not only improve our own coping, but we role model for our children healthy self-care through diet, adequate sleep, exercise, and opportunities for rejuvenation. During times of stress, it is imperative that we find ways to rejuvenate or to fill our emotional, spiritual, and physical gas tanks. This may seem like a challenging order in times of stress because we're typically more taxed than otherwise. Each person needs to find their own spiritual practices that are of comfort and meaningful to them. Some examples include practicing compassion. When children express feeling angry towards our current global circumstances, we can acknowledge and validate their feelings and then gently share with them how others may be suffering during this time, calling upon ourselves and our children to feel with others. Meditation and mindfulness are also beneficial approaches to centering. Mindfulness strategies may be as simple as taking a walk around your neighborhood with your child and encouraging them to look for 5 things that they see, 5 things that they hear, 5 things they might notice in their body, perhaps 5 senses of smell. Practicing gratitude amidst the changes allows for children to look for the good in all situations. Some days this is harder than others, but perhaps you might notice that the sun was shining, which allowed an opportunity to play outside. Perhaps they received a phone call from a special friend or a grandparent. With respect to physical tips for rejuvenation, exercise is an important strategy for coping as well. Whether this is yoga, a walk around your neighborhood, trying new hiking trails, going for a bike ride. As much as this crazy Wisconsin weather allows, make every attempt to get outside every day to enjoy fresh air, your daily dose of vitamin D from the sun, and enjoy nature. When possible, especially if you have small children, this might be challenging. Hopefully your partner might be supportive in this endeavor, but try and sleep in on a weekend here and there or enjoy a bubble bath. Sometimes feeling productive gives us a sense of utility and satisfaction. Consider biting off some short or long-term projects during this time. Perhaps you clean out a closet or catch up on journaling or photo albums. Gardening can be incredibly therapeutic. Solicit your children's assistance as developmentally appropriate to engage them and give them a similar sense of accomplishment. Helping others or looking for opportunities for service can be inspiring and mood elevating. It also reminds us that we are not alone. We are working together as a family, a community, and a larger society. Calling or FaceTiming, Zooming, or whatever platform you use to connect with elderly family members who may be isolated during this time. Perhaps you or your children merely chat with them, or maybe your child could sing a song or play an instrument. Or perhaps you even might engage in a game like charades. Early on in the stay-at-home order, I began writing a few letters a week to family and friends. I thought, despite this time of social distancing, that I could look for opportunities to connect emotionally. The response was very positive, and it felt really good to be connecting with people through snail mail, an avenue that we don't typically use that often anymore. Children likewise can touch many hearts by their kind words or their drawings. My daughters drew pictures and wrote messages of hope to send and distribute to residents of a nursing home who otherwise during this difficult time are not currently allowed to have visitors. There are countless other creative ways to spread joy during this time. Perhaps it's sidewalk chalking a message of gratitude for your mail delivery person, or organizing a neighborhood weekly window scavenger hunt. I have seen that many neighborhoods are coming together to put either drawings or objects or stuffed toys or other items in windows each week, so that families and small children walking through the neighborhood can look for surprises in the windows. Perhaps you paint some rocks with messages of love and leave them on walks to surprise a passerby. Creating and having fun are essential during this time as well. Encourage children to express themselves through music, art, dance, journaling, craft projects, baking projects, albeit messy. Many parents are now working remotely from home, which gets challenging to balance this work-home life separation. It is very easy for work to spill over into what would have otherwise been protected family time, and vice versa. As much as feasible, try to make special time for your family through fun board games, cards, story time, making forts, or just one-on-one snuggle time. If you have pets, playing with them, even for several minutes a day, has been shown to improve mood, decrease issues with attention difficulties, and be extremely therapeutic. Most importantly, remember that all children and teenagers are unique. Parents and caregivers know their children the best. Watch for changes in mood or behavior and seek consultation as needed. Change is inevitable. Growth is optional. There will be upcoming frustrating days. There will be worrisome days, and there will be sad days through this for each of us. But there will also be moments when we forget that we are in the middle of an unprecedented global crisis. There will be laughter, there will be love, there will be play. My hope for each of you and your families is that you will be able to build upon the strength and resiliency that is already within each of you. That you will ride these waves of uncertainty, that you will look for creative opportunities to enjoy this unexpected time together as a family, and spread much needed joy within your communities. I'm happy to take any questions right now.
Thank you very much, Stephanie. And thank you to all those who have submitted questions today. And there is a common theme in the questions that we've received. And so to sum up the questions, what types of things should I watch for in my child that might suggest they are not coping well with these changes?
That's a great question. In general, again, I would reiterate that every parent knows their child the best. So you are going to notice most specifically what is unique for your child or what's different, what changes are there. But in general, changes in sleep, and that can either be difficulty falling asleep, staying asleep, or sleeping more than usual. Similarly, changes in appetite, which once again can either be eating less or more than might be typical for your child. Changes in behavior, such as withdrawn behavior or loss of interest in previously enjoyed activities. So for example, if it happens to be a family game night and your child is choosing to remain in his or her room and doesn't want to join in on the fun, that would be a warning sign. And of course, changes in mood. This might look different in different children. Some might appear more worried, some might appear sad, and sometimes teenagers, it manifests itself as irritability. If you notice any of these changes, I would recommend talking with your child's primary care physician further and that provider may potentially recommend some referral information for counseling services.
Thank you very much, Stephanie, for sharing strategies and tools for boosting and maintaining resiliency. And thank you, attendees, for joining us today. Please use the link in the chat box to complete a brief survey regarding today's presentation. We appreciate your feedback and will use it to inform the design of future content. That concludes our three-part series, Riding the Waves of COVID-19, an information series for families and children of youth with special healthcare needs or disabilities. On behalf of Family Voices and the UW Pediatric Pulmonary Center, thank you.